Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Barriers and Boundaries Resilience Leadership Podcast, your personal and or organizational resilience building podcast, where we focus on how healthy employees create healthy organizations. I'm EB, your host, and today I'm exploring the critical role of discipline in fostering resilience. So I'm going to break down on how discipline impacts personal resilience, how it impacts organizational resilience, and touching on the importance of consistency, thought behavior, and action. So let's get started. Out the gate, I am suggesting to you that the well-being of employees is the cornerstone of a healthy and prosperous organization. When healthy employees are given a chance to thrive, so does the business. One mistake that I see way too much is when leadership of an organization, of a community, they get in the way of health. EB, what do you mean by that? What I mean is too often those in positional authority to take care of the staff overstep healthy boundaries. We often hear an organization's greatest asset is its employees. So by extension, the health and happiness of those employees should also be treated well. Investing in their well-being is investing in the future success of the company. What I'm saying is you take care of your employees, they will take care of the work. They'll be motivated, they'll be inspired to come to work, they'll go the extra mile, they'll be more innovative, they'll be more collaborative. All of this is researched in neuroscience at length, and I have some places I could direct you to. So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email, bnbresilience@gmail.com. So if you are a leader of people, it just needs to be said. It needs to be written on a sticky and stuck to the bottom of your computer screen. Make it the wallpaper of your phone. Write it on a mirror with lipstick, somewhere where you will constantly be reminded that leadership is taking care of people. It is removing the obstacles, the barriers that prevent their growth, so they can do the work of producing the service or the products, increase customer engagement, be more creative with processes, exemplifying the values of your organizations. Like, we know that healthy employees are not just a reflection of a company's values, but are essential to its long-term success and sustainability. To do so, what I implore is learning how to integrate discipline into your resilience. Meaning, when something goes wrong, first be able to discern if what went wrong was due to a discipline not being there. If there wasn't one, then create one. You got to protect the failings in the future by learning from the past, learning from your current reality. We talk about resilience, bouncing back from adversity, and learning from it. We have to learn from it, and we have to be disciplined in our learning outcome, our learning objectives, our learning intention that we have in our culture. Consistency and habits. That's number one. Along with discipline is consistency. Consistency is the cornerstone of building resilience. By maintaining disciplined habits, we create a stable foundation that helps us weather life's storms. For example, exercise, balanced diet, sufficient sleep. Those are habits that you have to be consistent in to contribute to your physical and mental well-being. So when challenges arise, these habits ensure that our bodies and minds are in the best possible condition to handle stress. I often tell couples when I'm doing couples counseling, the best you could offer your partner, your spouse, the other person is the best version of yourself. As a leader in an organization, you want to be able to have the environment be the best, so it will bring out the best. It will create an opportunity for the employee to be the best. And if you're the employee, you obviously want to be disciplined in your own habits that support what your vision is for going to work every day. This is like building equity, in your culture, in your business outcomes. This can be enterprise-wide. This can be down to the local shops. Thinking about that person that exercises daily, that routine not only boosts their physical health, but also strengthens their mental fortitude. All sorts of healthy chemicals are released in the body and the brain, the same as when we get rest and maintain healthy sleep. So when you're faced with those stressful situations, those storms in life, that habit, those exercising and sleeping and eating right, those things provide the much needed outlet for stress relief. That's what makes you more resilient. You can spend some of that equity that you've built up by your habits. Now, along with that, knowing that a healthy workforce is the backbone of a robust organization, prioritizing employee health is key to achieving organizational excellence. Take care of the employees, they will take care of you. This includes the art and practice of gratitude and the role it has in thought behavior and the related actions. So a little bit on thought behavior and actions. Our thoughts significantly influence our resilience. Everyone has a role in managing their thoughts. You don't have feelings without first having a thought. I promise you, just the bottom line truth, you will not have a feeling about a situation until you've first had a thought about that situation. So discipline in managing our thoughts leads to disciplined actions. It leads to disciplined feelings. Those decisions that shape how we respond to adversity. This involves practicing mindfulness, positive self-talk, positive affirmation, setting realistic goals. Consider a person who faces a job loss. Now, a disciplined approach to their thoughts might involve acknowledging their emotions, but also focus on actionable steps like updating your resume, networking, staying positive that the right job is out there for you, and being consistent and learning how to apply for jobs, learning how to network, all those things that control your thought patterns and aligns with your actions. All of that is rooted in your ability to be disciplined in that. But we don't want someone have to, go be out in the job line. We want healthy employees. We want them wanting to come to work. And when healthy employees are doing well, when they have those disciplines in their processes, their habits, their thought behaviors, then they are bringing their best selves to work. And that's what you want. That's what drives innovation. That's what creates that positive, productive, and healthy business environment. Okay, now, so let's shift a little bit in our focus to more of the organizational resilience side of things. We're going to talk about both. That was a bit more of the personal side. And now I just want to talk about organizations. And there are some similarities, like the need to be resilient to survive and thrive in a constantly changing environment. Discipline within an organization is critical, but it's the art form, it's the practice of discipline that matters. It's because things are going to change. Look at how many organizations have changed over the years. Think of the big ones like Kodak and Blockbuster. And the environment changed and how they did business, but you have to be able to understand that they were successful because of the disciplines that they had. Now, there were other philosophies of changing with the culture, that had to happen, but they became household names because of their disciplined approach to, just how they ran things. So there's consistent processes and procedures. Organizations that establish and maintain disciplined processes, they're better equipped to handle disruptions. Consistency in operations ensures that everyone knows their roles and responsibilities. This reduces confusion, especially during a crisis. The systematic approach allows for quick decision-making and efficient resource allocation. I remember, in times of natural disasters, the ability to respond quickly, that relied on discipline training that had happened in the past, that relied on who knows what role they're going to have in response to a natural disaster. So there's a lot of lessons learned that comes from studying your organization's processes and the disciplines that they have in response to chaos or a crisis, and just what are they systematic about in that. So when everyone is on the same page, it's easier to adapt to unexpected challenges and maintain that steady course. Plus, having clear protocols in place boosts employee confidence. Knowing there's a plan to follow, even in the most chaotic situations. Think about the military. They are big on confidence, but they're also big on discipline, and those two go hand in hand in the military. They will, when you're standing a watch or you have a duty and you have a specific role that you are doing every single time that you do that job. And all that does is builds confidence into them standing that watch. The more they stand it, the more confidence that they build in standing those watches. So discipline has a role in actually building confidence in the employee, but it also has a role in maintaining structure, especially when there's chaos. I had heard one time from someone in the military when they were talking about boot camp and the yelling in the boot camp. A lot of that is they will yell just so the person understands to rely on their disciplines when chaos and confusion are happening, when bullets are flying and someone's yelling at them to go to a certain post or a point or, march or whatever the case may be. But a lot of that yelling they get in early stages of their career is because they are training the person to respond based on the disciplines that have been instilled in them, while they're, things are happening. So I don't know, just an example, I guess. I was also thinking about a company where the emergency protocol is as well documented as grandma's not so secret cookie recipe, right? Everyone knows their role. Dave from accounting is the fire warden. Susan from HR handles communications. Bob from IT makes sure the Wi-Fi stays on because, let's face it, no one wants to be without the internet in a crisis. So with such a disciplined approach, when an unexpected event occurs, everyone springs into action like it's a well-rehearsed flash mob. I don't think those are a thing still, but they were fun when they happened, right? You minimize the downtime, you maintain continuity. It's the approach to process management that is one of the hallmarks of resilient organizations. So along with consistent processes and procedures, you also have to be disciplined in your culture of accountability. It's one thing that I see that really destroys the culture is the trust that someone's going to be held accountable or the expectation that there is accountability at all. You want to foster trust. You want to foster reliability of the leadership within an organization. When employees are held accountable for their actions, it creates a sense of responsibility. It creates a sense of commitment to the organization's goals. This environment encourages transparency. Team members are more likely to own up from their mistakes. They're more likely to learn from them or want to learn from them. It also promotes a proactive attitude where employees are actively seeking ways to improve their performance and also just finding ways to contribute, to the success of the organization. One thing I can tell you is that when an organization sets the standard in their accountability practices, it changes the game and how much people respect it. If they know they can get away with anything, they probably will. Reality is that most people want to be able to go to work. They want to afford their lifestyle expenses. They want to take care of their family if they have any, and know what to expect in terms of the relationship they have with their organization, with their jobs that help support all that. So in a resilient organization, accountability supports team members by reviewing performance, setting improvement goals, setting clear values, I think is a big one, but also understanding like their day-to-day jobs. How is that contributing to the vision of what the organization's up to? People don't want to go to work and not feel like they're contributing to what their organization's doing, right? So that's one of those things, like, you always have to understand people are coming at it from their perspective. You may have, if you're the leader of an organization, if you're the department lead, then maybe you have a perspective that's different than someone that's at, the bottom of the totem pole as far as positional authority goes. And they may not see what they do on a day-to-day basis actually matters to the overall big picture. So communicate that. Find out, do surveys, do focus groups, find ways to mitigate or eliminate a lot of that disparity, that chasm between what your perspective is and what their experiences are. And that's going to go to that discipline culture of continuous improvement. And that's what's going to ensure that you are adapting, you're growing, like, even in the face of challenges. So with that, and the last thing I want to talk about in the discipline of organizational resilience is strategic planning. This involves setting clear goals, achievable goals, and milestones. I don't think people talk about milestones as much as they used to, but I think it definitely needs to be part of the conversation as one of your disciplines. This approach allows organizations to stay focused, but it's really about making informed decisions that align to long-term objectives. When I was doing my MBA in marketing, we had to write our own business plan. We had to come up with these benchmarks, and that's kind of the way that I kind of use milestones. But milestones and benchmarks are not exactly the same, although in some situations they can be interchangeable. But taking a look at milestones, let's think of milestones as critical checkpoints in the planning process, in the strategic planning process, right? To set effective milestones, you have to begin by breaking down long-term objectives into smaller, manageable, relevant. You can go through the whole SMART outline: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Goodness, I've talked about SMART goals with companies for a long time. But this is about assigning clear responsibilities, identifying resources, identifying requirements, and each milestone is going to ensure that there's accountability and support to those objectives when you do so. They're essential for tracking progress. They're necessary for making adjustments, and then scheduling, review meetings. You can assess the status of each milestone, talk about the obstacles, realign resources if needed. You have analysis based on KPIs, key performance indicators, to measure success of each milestone. These reviews, these not only help in maintaining focus, but also provide opportunities for feedback and learning, fostering that culture of continuous improvement, collaboration. And using milestones for growth involves leveraging those insights in the review process to refine your strategies, and you can even sometimes set new targets, set bigger targets. You might realize, like, oh wow, we weren't thinking big enough, but it's the discipline within those of just having those processes. That's what's going to allow you to even get to that place of how do we grow, how do we get bigger, how do we think bigger, what should we be thinking? That's where having those types of milestones come into play for sure. And that iterative process, if you're familiar with agile methodologies, I do have I'm a certified agile practitioner with PMI, and we use that iterative continuous development. When we have a requirement, we're releasing a product or the next evolution of a product, we're taking all that feedback, and a lot of it comes from what we learned in certain milestones that were set. So that ensures the agility, the responsiveness to the changes that are needed, and that's what drives sustained growth and resilience. So let me take an example here. Let's say a human factors engineer worker, right? Let's say you have this human factors engineer. They're working on improving the user experience of a new software product. Now, the long-term objective is to enhance the overall usability and the efficiency of the software. So so if you're that human factors engineer, there might be specific milestones that you want to touch on, initial user research, the comprehensive user interviews, things like that, and, within a certain time frame, maybe let's say 2 or 3 months. Another one may be prototype development. You create and you test prototypes based on user feedback. Then you have iterative testing. This is where you start implementing, the iterative usability testing and refining the product over the next period of time. And then you have your, final review and adjustments, things like that, where you perform a final review, you do the product launch, and then you start kind of working from there. So there's this ability to enhance the overall usability and the efficiency of the software just by having healthy, disciplined milestones in your strategic planning, which really just honestly, like I said, just goes a long way to offer like critical checkpoints in your strategic planning process. And again, SMART goals, all that kind of stuff comes into play. And with that, I want to kind of tie it up here because one, I don't like to talk a long time when I do a podcast, but discipline is essentially the structure that allows resilience to live and breathe. You have a strong foundation that supports a building. Discipline supports the development of resilience in both individuals and organizations. So without discipline, efforts to build resilience, they can become chaotic and ineffective, much like trying to, construct let's say a skyscraper without blueprints or scaffolding. Like you're not going to be able to reach the top. For individuals, discipline creates the daily routines, the habits. It fosters physical and mental well-being. We talked about regular exercise, mindfulness, mindful practices, consistent goal setting. All of those are elements of discipline that contribute to a person's ability to bounce back from adversity while also learning from it. This structured approach to daily life ensures that when challenges arise, there are established methods and habits in place to manage stress and recover quickly. In organizations, discipline manifests through well-defined processes, clear roles and responsibilities, consistent procedures, setting milestones in your strategic planning. That's the type of framework that ensures everyone, knows their part in the bigger picture. It reduces confusion, increases efficiency. And I would say, especially during when the heat, those times when the heat is on, during times of crisis, you want disciplined approaches to your operations. You want disciplined approaches to your planning. That's what's going to allow your organization to remain focused and adaptable. When you know what the expectations are, when you know that you're going to be held accountable to them, that's when informed decisions are going to start happening that align with those milestones, that align with your long-term objectives. So ultimately, what we're talking about in discipline's role in resilience is it's providing that stability and order necessary to flourish. It's the backbone. It's the support for the consistent progress. And without discipline, resilience is like a ship without a rudder. It's adrift. It's vulnerable to the whims. So all of those analogies kind of come into play when you're just kind of aimless, when you're visionless, when you are milestone-less. You don't know how to plan. You don't know how to observe your own thought behavior, when you don't know how to observe your own actions because of your thoughts. And that may be more personal, but what I want to end with here is I just want to offer a couple of questions. The first one's about personal resilience, the role of discipline in personal resilience. And I want you to think about, can you share a time when you faced a significant challenge and how your personal discipline helped you overcome it? What habits, what routines did you rely on? How did they contribute to your resilience. Okay? Think about a time when you faced a significant challenge and how your personal disciplines helped you overcome it. So that's your question for personal resilience. That's kind of a couple questions, I guess. But that's what I want you to think of when you reflect on personal resilience, the role of discipline in personal resilience. And for organizational resilience, maybe this could be like a team building question or an icebreaker, or something along those lines that help you engage and build collaboration. Is think of a recent disruption your organization faced. How did your discipline processes and procedures help you navigate through it? So think of a recent disruption that your organization faced. How did your discipline processes and procedures help you navigate through it? So you can think about what aspects of your organization do you think were most effective, and what aspects of your organization can you improve further? So those questions can prompt reflection and discussion. So I want you to think about that individually, but also think in terms of teams and exploring that role of discipline and building resilience. So until next time, EB out.